How can you connect to the universe? Hi, I'm Celia Winter. I'm a spiritual teacher for more than 30 years, and I've been in contact with my spiritual guides for my entire life. And I'm absolutely fascinated about the idea of everything being interconnected and having a sort of deeper spiritual purpose behind it all. So my guides talk to me in English. They explain things very properly with concepts and words, and they convey information about the 12 universal laws of energy and about frequencies and dimensions and other ways of living and thinking and so forth. It is all used for me as tools so that I can handle my life here, and I'm translating very often this information into a more useful language for us down here. So I have a lot of practice in the communication with the universe. And to me, it also brings a lot of benefits because it makes me feel a deeper meaning of life. Maybe I feel, first of all, very joyful. It brings me a lot of joy to know that I'm not personally disconnected from everything. No, I'm part of this entire universal sea of energy, and that is fascinating to me. And also it brings me, maybe more than anything, it brings me a feeling of safety, because in my life, because I was born with arthritis and have had a lot of physical problems and so forth, I haven't always felt safe. Well, I've actually felt really scared many times, especially in my childhood, because of this. And the connection to the universe, or the connection to the divine, the connection to everything around me, makes me feel safe. So that's why I really want you to be connecting to the universe in your way, because there's so many ways to connect to the universe around us. And I will show you some ways, share some ways of do that with you in a moment. But first of all, we need to connect to topic. We need to understand a little bit the topic of synchronicity. And synchronicity is often described as meaningful coincidences. So it's two or more things happening that occur at the same time, seemingly unrelated, or at least we cannot know the interconnectedness. So basically, spiritually, it means that all possible events are interconnected, even if we cannot see the connection. And for instance, when we are dealing with shamanism, there's this very important thing which is so natural and so obvious, and still we tend to forget. It is that we belong to nature. We are nature. We are parts of nature. We're not separated from it. It's not a duality. It's not like humans and nature. No, we're all part of the same subconscious sea of energy, which is moving through us and with us, and so we are communicating with nature at all times, whether we like it or not. So the point is to become more aware of it and do it more on our own terms, or knowing what we're doing in a way, So if you want to connect to the universe, it's very helpful not to be too focused on you as an individual and be more communicating with the energy, this sea of energy that we all are part of. And we do that by simply looking around, and see that things are connected. And the word synchronicity actually comes from Greek, synkrisis, which means to put together or make connection. And I think that's so beautiful because my ex-husband, he called those coincidences. I didn't know that word of synchronicity at that time. We never used it when we lived together in Spain. But he called them non-incidents. And I find that really nice because they are somehow conveying a hidden message, even if I can't read the message totally right now. So it has been used, the word synchronicity, or the concept of synchronicity, has been used by mystics and philosophers for ages to describe this hidden meaning that is there, which is the connection to everything else, and which sometimes appear as really interesting synchronicities in our life. And I'll give you an example of that. In autumn, I was standing outside in my garden in Spain. It's not really my garden, but it's my garden right now. And it hadn't been raining for months. And I was talking to my mother on the phone. And right then I was creating a course, and that day I was working with the concept of manifestation. So to see how we could manifest more of what we want in our lives. I'll not go into that at the moment, but I explained to her that it was like seeds, that our thoughts are like seeds. And if we plant, like say, sunflower seed, then the sunflower will grow if we tend to the seed, if we water it, if we nurture it, and if we protect it while it's small before it's got roots and can handle life on its own. And it's the same way with our thoughts. We need to nurture those new thoughts that will bring something new into our lives, and we need to water them, tend to them, water them. And when I'm saying this to my mother on the phone, we need to water our garden, then the sky opens and it starts pouring, it starts raining. And I'm looking up at the sky and I cannot see a cloud. It's like totally still, totally blue, but it must have been there somewhere, and it didn't rain for many minutes, but it did happen. And this is a typical synchronicity. You talk about something, and even if it's unlikely that it should rain at that moment, it did. And it's not God or some entity, spiritual entity, telling me, giving me a message, but it's more, how can I say it? It's more to remind me, the synchronicity reminds me of me being in contact with the entire universe, and that I am communicating, and that it is being received, and that I am part of this universe that is communicating in so many ways at all times. So it's not so important to understand exactly the particular message. It's more to see, it's a confirmation of the interconnectedness of all. And I'm sure you've experienced synchronicities in many ways yourself. And when we start focusing on these synchronicities and focusing on us being interconnected with everything around us, then they start to appear more often, and they also make more sense. And that I find that very, very interesting. And I'll just have a sip of tea here. Some people have told me I'll speak very fast, so that's good to take a little sip of tea and take my breath. Okay, so to me, I must share with you that the strongest moments of synchronicity happened when I lived without a phone and without internet, off-grid, out in the countryside in Spain. We lived outdoors, so I was cooking outdoors, I was washing outdoors, I was, eating and bathing and doing everything outdoors. And this made me feel very connected to nature, to every other part of nature around me. So it might have been the reason why I had this very strong synchronicity, but also because I was so far away from my loved ones, who mainly were living in Norway, and I didn't have a phone. So I needed to tune in to the universe and to communicate with the universe to try to get the information when somebody needed me there, or when I should go look for a phone and call home. So I had strong experience with that, and I think we often forget our connection because we're too connected to our phones and our computers and all this. Anyway, let me see. About the specific meaning. When I'm thinking of my mother and then she is calling me, for instance, it doesn't necessarily have a specific meaning. I don't have to nag about that. I just, or if you are going to the shop, a grocery store, and you have an idea you will make spinach pancakes for dinner, and then you come home and your husband has bought exactly the same ingredients as you, having exactly the same idea as you. Those are synchronicities. They're fabulous confirmations of our interconnectedness, of things being parallel, and that we are communicating with this deep subconscious sea of energy at all times. But now let's get to it. So what can you do to communicate and strengthen your connection to the universe? Firstly, open up and communicate. So try, have the idea that it's possible. That's the first thing. And I would use plants. If you have plants inside your house, they are really good to talk to. It doesn't have to be with words, although I tend to talk to my plants also with words or singing to them. But you can also feel their energy when you're watering your plants, whether they're inside or outside or whatever. When you're watering them, you are interacting with them. So try to sense what's happening inside you when you do that. What is happening with this water? How does the plant react to the water? And again, it doesn't have to be any specific words or any specific meaning. Just try to interact. So plants is the first thing. Secondly, whenever you have the feet on the ground, then I'm imagining, you're standing up on the planet. You are standing on the surface of a planet. One planet out of 1,000,000,000 trillion, I don't know how many planets we have in all the galaxies together. But you're standing on top of one. So imagine that, to take that in, breathe that in when you stand on your feet, that you are standing on top of, or even when you lay down, you're still on the surface of a planet. And above you and around you, you have the entire universe. So breathe that in. Feel the energy again. Feel the connection to the energy. Feel the connection to this subconscious sea of energy, which is passing through us, going through us all the time, and that we are part of. You cannot be separated from it because you're part of it. And when you relax and you open your heart, open your mind and feel this, then the connection will increase. It will feel stronger after a while. And the third thing is communication with animals. Whether you have a pet or not that you can communicate with, I'm sure if you have a pet, you do communicate a lot with a pet, but you can also communicate with any other animal passing your way, a bird that you meet on the street when you go to work, or a squirrel, or any other animal that comes your way, even if they come in your dreams or visions. Talking to your animals, to the animals that appear, can become a very strong connection and feeling of communication with the rest of the universe. It's absolutely magical. And the weird thing is that when you see the divine in a butterfly that stops in front of you and start communicating with that butterfly, you don't necessarily need to use any words, but energetically start communicating with that butterfly. Listen to the butterfly. What is it telling you? And again, it doesn't have to be a specific meaning, but just start energetically to interact. And the weird thing is that animals will do things and behave in the weirdest way. I've had geckos that suddenly, just when I start talking to them, they start coming my way, and then they move, and then they go around themselves in circles and just keep going around and around themselves in circles, looking at me and taking a new circle, looking at me. I've seen other people communicating with a butterfly, and the butterfly started doing the same, moving, showing itself from all the different sides. And that is a shamanic way of thinking, that when an animal shows itself to you from 3 sides or more, then it is communicating with you, and it might be a medicine animal, an animal that is giving you some energy that you need right now. So be open and do communicate with animals, and even in your dreams, really communicate with them. So not only plants and animals and people and spirits have energy. Water has energy, so whenever you're taking a shower or you're laying in your bathtub, communicate with the water. Listen, feel what happens to you in the communication with the water. What is happening with you when you're walking in the woods? What is happening with you in the communication with the trees? What can you hear? What can you feel? What can you sense? Bring in this, start experimenting, communicating with trees, with stone, with mountains, with whatever. And if you are in the city and you don't have so much nature around you, you have other people. And if you're sitting on a bus, for instance, you are sharing an energy space with people around you. And when you're sharing energy space, start communicating with that field of energy, the subconscious sea of energy, which we are all part of, is everywhere. So there's always something to experiment with, to communicate with, to learn how to communicate, to feel yourself, how you receive, what you receive, how you give, how you can listen and interact with the rest of the universe. And lastly, meditation, daily meditations. I mean, I will talk so much more about meditations in another video, because meditation is for me really crucial. It's crucial to keep my own peace, of course, and there's lots of other benefits, but in the communication with the universe, whether you talk to animals or spirits or energy or whatever you want to talk to or with, being in touch with yourself, centering yourself through meditation makes you clearer in your communication with others, also with other people. It makes you more intentional with your communication. So it becomes more clear for you what you want to convey, what you want to receive. And it is kind of the magical thing that goes through you. That is not your ego, but still through you. And so meditation, well, I won't speak more about it right now because I can't stop, but doing a few minutes, even if it's just a few minutes of meditation every day, is really, really important for the communication with the rest of the universe. So now I will mention a few things that doesn't work. And the reason I'll do that is because I see very many people doing these mistakes when they want to actually open up to a connection to the universe. First of all, me. Thinking about me, asking spirits about myself, my own problem, my own limited affairs, is not opening up for communication with the universe. It is a great thing to do if you're good at communication with the universe. It can be moments when it's very useful, but normally, if we are in the middle of a problematic, conflictive, difficult situation and very, very focused on ourselves, we do not really receive. It's like the energy, the subconscious level, it's not really reaching us because we are looking here and we can't see everything else. We're looking at this little spot here, which is me. So that's one thing. And the other thing is obsessively looking for signs. If you are looking for signs, like for instance, you are walking on the beach, you're looking for a sign, then you see a stone with a heart-shaped form. That is wonderful. You get a stone with a heart. Then people very often ask me, but Silja, what did it mean? What does it mean to find a heart-shaped stone on the beach? Does it mean that I'm going to find the love of my life? Does it mean that I need to open my heart? Does it mean that people are treading on me on the beach because they walk on me? What does it mean? And it doesn't work like that. The communication with the divine is so much more subtle. The universe is so much more subtle, and there's so many things involved because, again, everything is part of this subconscious sea of energy. So if I go into a park and I see a lot of feathers, doesn't mean that every feather I see is a message directly to me from an angel. But both seeing a heart-shaped stone on the beach or a feather in the park can remind me and allow me to sense and feel and recognize what I'm part of, and that I'm actually able to see this stone in the shape of a heart, I'd be delighted, because it brings up something in me. To me, a heart is representative to love, you know, so it's something to do with love, and I love to get that confirmation that the universe sees me and I see love in the universe. And when I see a feather, I'm reminded that, first of all, there's been birds there, and birds are magical creatures. They are in between Earth and the sky and the rest of the planets out there. They're sort of intermediate messengers, no? So, and they have been traveling all around our planet from one place to another, bringing a lot of different energy to me. So when I see a feather, I'm coming into a field of energy, and I can recognize that I'm in contact with the rest of the universe. So it's a confirmation that I am communicating with the rest of the universe. And the last thing I will say about what you should not do is to be too obsessed with words. Because even if you can use words in your communication with everything around us, words can be very limiting. And most of what is going on in the sea of energy is not able to use words back to us. So that's why it's much better to focus on energy when we are communicating with the rest of the universe, whether it be plant, whether it be the water. So feel, sense, use your physical senses and your metaphysical senses, and allow yourself to be touched by the wind. You know, there's a communication when the wind touches you, when the sun comes into your face, when you hear the birds or you hear sounds through your ears. It's moving energy. Everything of you, sounds, music, it's moving energy and it's touching you. So to be able to open up and be communicating with the spiritual world, with the entire universe, we need to use those senses that we've got and not stay in our minds, because too many people think that being in contact with spirits or being in contact with the rest of the universe actually all happens in the mind, but it doesn't. We use the entire sensory system. And to me, it's magic. It's absolutely magic when you hear or feel or sense something that doesn't have any meaning at all, but you notice it. You notice that there is something happening. There's something happening between you. For me, I must say that I notice it even more when I'm out in nature, when I can feel and hear sounds of nature. I feel it very, very, very strongly. And I long for it when I'm not out in nature. That's why I bring a lot of plants indoors if I have to live indoors. Because to me, the universe is communicating with me, and I'm communicating with the universe at all times. Just have to be aware of it. And the shapes and forms and everything that we can see and visualize inside us, outside us, all through our senses is so amazing. And it brings simply magic to our lives. So start with energy. And you are connected to the universe at all times. And by working on the awareness of this connection, you will improve the connection so that it strengthens you and strengthens your connection, so that you interchange these kind of messages and ideas and energies more clearly, more intentionally, and receive more of what you truly need. So if you have experienced synchronicities or other kinds of communication with the universe, I'd love for you to share it with me. So please use the comments below. And if you like this, please subscribe to my channel and let's share some love.